up, we have Cheldin Barlatt Rumer, the CEO and executive producer, of This Is It Network.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited. This is going to be, first of all, for all of the professionals that are out there and the educators that are out there, I don't know about you, but I am feeling hopeful. I think that we are in good hands with this next generation of people. I think that we just need to continue to empower them to use their voices and give them the tools in order to do so. I am overly impressed and feeling joyous. Those individuals that have had an opportunity to share not only their talent, but their hopes for the future, provide us with direction and clarity and in the way in which we move and maneuver. So thank you so much for your amazing talent and the bravery enough to share it. Again, my name is Cheldin Barlatt Rumer. I am the CEO and executive producer of This Is It Network. I am a content creator and I am self-made. And what that means is that I'm an entrepreneur. That means I work for no one, my friends. That means I set my own hours, I create my own day, I tell my own stories, and I build my own community. What I want to convey today is not only the journey that it took to get here, the long journey that it took to get here, as well as just some insights as it relates to some things that you can do in order to continue to move forward in a way that will make impact. Again, like I had said, I am hopeful for the future. I am hopeful for what lies ahead. Yes, social media does carry a heavy weight. Yes, those that choose to divide us use tools in order to do so. But I believe that the light can outshine the dark. The intention that darkness uses to tell false stories, to create division, to share hate, are the same tools we can use to lift voices, to unite communities, and to bring us all together. And what I encourage all of you to do that are listening to me today is to embolden yourself that you are a part of that. You are a part of the voices that will be used to bring us together. History is made by those who tell the story. I want for all of you to be storytellers. In the past, those of us that are on this call did not have a voice to tell history's story, but we do now have that voice. We do now have those tools. The majority of you have more communication in your cell phones than some of the largest departments out there that are looking to become storytellers. We are living in a world where 5-year-olds have 50 million followers for opening toys. That is the world in which we live. So we have resources in order to begin to tell those stories. We have audiences that are willing to listen to the stories that we have, but we must part our lips to tell the story. We must take an active role. And so in understanding who I am, again, I'm Cheldin Barlatt Rumer, executive producer and host of This Is It Network. I am an immigrant. I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa, Freetown, Sierra Leone. I come from a West African family that is loud and ambitious. Unapologetically, they give me all of that scenario. I was taught to arrive early and leave late. There was no other option. I'm one of 4. The majority of my family, I am proud to say, are scholars. Right? They're PhDs and went to Cornell Law. My father was a doctor of chemistry, now retired professor. My mother was a principal of an elementary school. I talk to myself on Facebook all day. Just so you are clear, we all have our own path to follow. I take the fundamentals in which I learned in that West African household in order to elevate my own unique voice. Believe me, my father wanted me to be an attorney. He wanted me to be an engineer. I chose to tell stories. So there's a lot of storytellers that are on this call. There's a lot of storytellers that are Zooming with us today. And I want to embolden you to use your unique voice in order for this to happen. Now, I studied media and communications in college. I went to LaSalle University locally. I wanted to be on MTV. And for you educators that are on here, not to age myself, but that was a scenario in which was ambitious. I wanted to intro music videos. I wanted to be on spring break, letting Eminem know that it was time for him to join us on stage. That's what I wanted to do. I studied, I did all of the lives, I was studying news broadcasting, and I was encouraged to take an elective. I was encouraged to walk over to the business department and take a marketing course. And at that point, I was able to see the connection between marketing and media, the impact, what happens when consumer goods pair with a message in order to take action in whatever way. And again, same. I got to see what darkness looked like, but I also got to see, if we utilize those same tools, what the light can look like. And so I got derailed from my MTV ambitions and decided to dive into marketing, advertising, publicity. Fast forward to 2009, I opened an agency independently. The beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, it was called IG Creative. We were a traditional PR and marketing firm. So we did PR, marketing, events, publicity. My goal was to aid people in finding what I called their marketing voice. What I found quickly was that the majority of people were not extroverts like myself. I am truly an extrovert. What does that mean? Is that when we were in live situations, my darling, if this was an actual event, you would have heard me before you saw me. You would have said, Cheldin's here, I hear her, even if you don't know or see me face to face. I have a voice that carries. I am not shy. I will speak to people in the produce section. I will ask people how their day is in the bank. That is naturally who it is that I am. But I know that I'm outnumbered by those that don't have the same voice. I know that I'm outnumbered by individuals that keep their features, their benefits, what it is that they're bringing to the table, their value close to their chest. I found that firsthand when I was helping my clients. They would come to me and they would say, Cheldin, I have this highlighter, for those that can see me. I have this highlighter. How do I market this highlighter? And I would ask them, tell me about the highlighter. Why should someone buy your highlighter versus buying someone else's? And I quickly, truly understood that they were unable to part their lips to tell me why. They were unable to share with me the features and benefits, the value that their highlighter brought. And I said, oh, they must have started this business. And I would ask them, how long have you been doing this? 10 years. How long have you been working on the highlighter? 5 years. And I was devastated. Somebody who was overly enthusiastic about just about everything. Found myself sitting across the table from individuals that were talented, but had a truly hard time bragging boldly about what it is that they were up to. And the issue with that is that those that don't use their voices don't get heard. And if you aren't heard, then people cannot truly tap into your value. So finding your voice and using your voice was important. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. So I tapped into the Cheldin wanting to be on MTV Cheldin. Cheldin wanting to be center stage Cheldin. And I was documenting things before documenting things was a thing. And I always carried around a camera like my new friend Christian. And I was able to ensure that I was making sure that I was taking pictures of whatever it is that I could. So what I did is that I decided in my small office that I would turn the camera around. And the woman that created this highlighter, she and I sat shoulder to shoulder when that was a thing. And I interviewed her. I conducted a fake interview with my client. Two things happened. One, I shared my energy with her. I gave her a safe space to tell her story. Her shoulders dropped and she found her voice. And the next thing that happened is that I found mine. I decided that this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life. If I could talk, share stories, and encourage other people to do so, I was going to make that happen. And that was it. I began encouraging individuals to no longer whisper their wishes, but to, in fact, scream their dream. And that is my true mission, to give people not only a platform to do so, but to teach them how to do so. I'm naturally extroverted, but I know that the majority of people are not. So what I needed to do was give a safe place. And I was on a podcast earlier this week and individuals were like, you know, how do you think we're going to make this change? How do you think we are going to create more stories? Is that there has to be a safe place. There has to be access like this, content, materials, equipment, and the space has to be safe. A flower must grow closer to the light. in soil that nourishes them. And spaces like this are those opportunities. This Is It Network is that opportunity, the ability to nurture a voice so it can grow. So it is a safe place in order for that to happen. Now, just so everyone is clear, This Is It Network evolved over time. It gave me an opportunity to meet people and to have intention and to create conversations that led to productive activities and movement and impact. I remember growing up, I'm unapologetically 43 out there for those of you that were born in the 70s. I'm unapologetically 43. And I remember a time that there were talk shows. Bear with me. There were not only Oprah Winfrey, but there was Montel Williams and Sally Jesse Raphael and Donahue. And it wasn't exploitive. It was a space where people came together. I call that educational entertainment, where individuals all across the country could be better after 45 minutes. And its most simplistic form, we were taught about race relations, about human trafficking, about sexual orientation, all of the things that were taboo. But the individual in the comfort of their own home were given an opportunity to be smarter, to the point where they went to dinner and their partner or their family would say, oh, this person is watching too much Oprah, because they came to the table a little too woke. They came to the table using words that before lunch they could not pronounce. What happened to our media is that that genre of actual entertainment and educational entertainment was replaced by reality television. And though I love an amazing reality show that I can dive into, there was no replacement for the educational entertainment. What it was replaced with was self-segregated, argumentative content that left us believing that the minority of the minority was the majority. And what we do at this particular point is that we have the power to change the conversation. Now, so many people have asked me, Cheldin, do you want to be on regular television? I love that. Cheldin, do you want to be on traditional TV? And believe me, when Oprah calls, and I believe she will, when Oprah calls me, I will pick up the phone. I am no fool. But until then, I will create and share my own voice. That is what you have the power to do. Again, I am 43 years old. I have no intention of spending the next 40 years of my life begging for attention. I have no interest in auditioning for already established mediums and platforms. What I would love to do is I would love to make my own way. I would love to prepare a platform where others who have stories to tell can be comfortable and closer to the light. There are stories that are going to be told. And there are countless people that will never be on the Today Show. But that doesn't mean that their voices should not be heard. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't elevate their stories. Again, we are living in a society where a 5-year-old has 50 million followers. We can be our own channel. We can't change hatred. We can make a dent in it. We can outshine it. History is made by those that tell the story. We can either simply receive the stories or become storytellers. And what you are learning to do in the infancy of your career that I find so motivating and so hopeful is that you are learning to become a storyteller. But being a storyteller holds a big responsibility. Being a storyteller requires you to be authentic, requires you to be consistent, requires you to make sure that there's a sense of repetition so we can learn. That's how we learn. That's how we do. Everyone who spoke before me today showed us the art of doing. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't wait to be granted, yes, you have permission to do this. They just did. I could still be auditioning. I could still be waiting for that call that will eventually come from Auntie Oprah. But in the meantime, I will continue to do. I will continue to show up for myself. I will continue to show up for the individuals that have stories that need to be told. Now, as it relates, the digital space, the palm of your hand is where those stories live. We spoke earlier about the damage that comes from what it is that we receive. I believe that if we work in an intentional way, if we work through authenticity and repetition and consistency, we can begin to bring more light to dark situations. We can become the truth. Oftentimes, whether it be diversity or the need for inclusion, it's celebrated as a novelty. I believe the United States can consume diversity more than 30 days at a time, more than a national holiday. I believe that diversity can be part of our everyday scenario, and we can show the economic impact of what we do together if we layer it in within stories. We see it work, whether it's the amazing talent of Hamilton or Bridgerton, or the work of all of the wonderful things that we see out in the space. Diversity can be consumed. Positive stories can be consumed. But we must do and execute distribution of those positive stories with intention, because negative stories are distributed with intention in a deliberate way. So we must work. And I am excited, my friends, that all of you are prepared to put in the work, because that's what it was. And that's what it is for me. I show up every day ready to tell stories. I interview 1 to 5 people per day. And just so we are clear, this pandemic did not slow me down. But let me be honest, the first 2 weeks were not cute. I have to be really honest with you. The lashes were not on, the weave was not combed. I was not okay. I thought we were going to be in the pandemic for 2 weeks. And then that quickly changed, right? And days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. And in that second week, I knew that I had to strap in. I knew that I needed to figure out what I was going to do, not only for myself, but for the community that relied on the voices in which I shared. What happened when I did that? What happened when I said, you know what, I'm going to make this a viral scenario. I'm going to ensure that I have a digital landscape, because I did BQ, is what I call it, before quarantine. Before quarantine, I had a studio in Philadelphia. It was wonderful. Again, shoulder to shoulder, 1 to 5 people. I was fixated in the studio experience. People would come, they would get bagels and croissants, and we would take pictures in front of what we call the step and repeat, the logoed banner. They'd get a gift bag, and all of that quickly. March of 2020 was gone. And I was
How did you feel?
And it was hard. And I'm going to be the first person to give you permission to say that this is difficult. This is uncharted territory, my friends. This is new to everyone, to your colleagues, to your professors, to your teachers, to your future employers. This is hard. But those of us that dig deep in this hardship will rise. And I know that on this call, on this Zoom, there are those of you that are wearing a smile when it hurts. There are those of you that are having a hard time when it is so, so difficult. And there's a quote that I live by at this point in my life. And it is, just because I carry it well doesn't mean it isn't heavy. There's a lot of us that are carrying things that are extremely heavy. And we put on the smile, and with exhaustion, we trudge through. And the encouragement that I have for all of you, because it is heavy, and I will continue to smile. And I know a lot of you are seeing the smile from various portions of the scenario. And a lot of you have had to turn down the volume in your computers. I understand the octave of my voice. I only have 2 volumes. I have silence and I have Cheldin. And Cheldin hovers around to scream. I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry, my friends. So adjust the volume and we'll keep it moving. But it's how you carry it. One of the ways that I've really figured out how to move forward, one of the ways that I figured out how to move forward in this space is that I know that we are not where we want to be. I know that I have a lot of work to do, but I also know we are sure as heck not where we were. So if I can contribute to moving forward, if I, through my exhaustion and through the heavy load in which I carry, if I can continue to move one step at a time closer to a better day for all of you, as I know that you have no problem taking this baton to be able to move things forward. I'm excited about what it is that you are doing, but I want you to be realistic about it. I want you to look at it being prepared, not only to carry the load, but to share the load with your colleagues, with your friends, with your family. Function in an honest way, knowing that this journey will be long and that there will be rest stops on the way to your destination. But stopping, my friends, is not an option. It's how we take that journey. In addition to wanting to be on MTV, I've always been an athlete. So I was a Division I athlete, a dual sport athlete at LaSalle. So I played field hockey and I also ran track. I was a sprinter. I was naturally fast. Not so much anymore, but I was naturally fast, right? I don't run so much on purpose unless someone's chasing me, and no one is chasing me, just so FYI. Okay, so I was a sprinter. I ran the 400, the 200, and the 100. I did not run distance. I had a weird feeling about passing your finish line. I thought it was just silly. So I just ran one lap was the most that I could be able to manage. And because I was a fast individual, my coaches would always ask me, Cheldin, will you run the hurdles? Cheldin, run the hurdles. You should run the hurdles. And I would say to them every single year, I am not running with something in my way. I am not running fast forward into a piece of metal. I am not doing that. I am not signing up to do that, only to grow up and be an entrepreneur. And the road as an entrepreneur is filled with hurdles. I have opted in to run the hurdles. But the best part about the hurdles is that it's all about practice. So many of you think that you are going to get to a certain point and then be able to be like, ooh, I made it. But one of the things that I want you to really understand, and not to scare you, but to let you know that it's a continuous process, this content creation, this ability to become self-made. When we talk about our most famous athletes, the Serena Williams of the world, maybe the Tom Brady's of the world, regardless of how good they are today, they still, my darlings, practice. Every day, they practice. So as good as you get, we must hone in to the practice. And so that's what I say to those introverts out there. Those individuals that are like, Cheldin, I can't find my voice. Cheldin, I'm still living in the whisper. My goal for all of you is to practice. The more you practice using your voice, the more you use your voice over and over and over again, the more you will gain strength in what it is that you say and who it is that you are, why it is that you deserve it, and know clearly what it is that you want. I encourage you to practice. Practice finding your voice, practice elevating your whisper, practice screaming your dream. We have the ability to create content, to create stories, to make history. We can wait for permission, but I have a feeling that this group is not interested in waiting. I have a feeling that this group is prepared for not only the hardships and the hurdles along the way, but you are getting ready to jump each and every one of them. I'm here to be able to help. This Is It Network is creating an ability for stories to be told, whether it's my network or the new networks that will develop out of the need for the light. This is where I want you to put your energy. This is where I want you to see yourself as a developer, as a producer, as a director. I want you to understand that you have more power in the palm of your hand and in a smartphone than you would need, and to spend the same amount of time asking for permission. The responsibility is up to you. You have the ability to tell the story and encourage others to do so. You have the ability to go viral in the right direction. I am self-made. I am a content creator. I am Cheldin Barlatt Rumer, and this is it. I'd love to get any questions from any of you as it relates to my journey and what it is that I've done in order to get here. I'm telling you, it is not always cute, but one foot in front of the other is the only direction in which you need to go.
Thank you, Cheldin.
I have a question.
You have any questions?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
How do you deal with oppression in the industry? How
Yes.
did you deal with people being on top of you, always telling you that you can't do this, that
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to quit?
Yes. Ooh, here's the deal. We are outnumbered. We are outnumbered by people who will not. We are outnumbered by people who will never. We are outnumbered by people who have no interest. We are outnumbered. There is a reason, my darling, why you are meant to do what you are meant to do. We are surrounded by people who will never understand. We are surrounded by people who will never have the ambition, who will never want to arrive early and never will want to stay late. One of the things that I do that has helped me because, and some of those people, hear me clearly, are people who share blood and space with you, are people who know you so well and people who which you seek validation from on a daily basis. And that, my friends, is natural. That's a natural thing, right? You want to be seen, you want to be heard. Do you not understand me? Do you not get me? But there are 48 people on this call who get you. There are 48 people on this call who see you, who hear you. Those that see and hear you understand you differently. So many of us try to have the same conversation with people who do not understand us, people who are not fluent in our language of ambition. So we continue to talk to them as if we say the 17th sentence 17 more times, they will then understand. But the effort that you are giving to that 17th time for that 17th sentence, you could be giving to me who understands you clearly. And we can use that same effort to move forward together. That doesn't mean we do not love them. That doesn't mean we do not want them to come to the event. That doesn't mean that we don't want to share our accolades with them, but that just means that they are not on the journey with us. The analogy that I use is the huddle, because again, I was an athlete. So I suggest only having 3 to 5 people in this huddle. Some of you want to have everybody in the huddle. No. Those are the fans that belong in the stands. Let them buy a ticket, but they're not in the huddle, okay? The people that are in the huddle are 3 to 5 people, tops. Why? Because the huddle understands the game. The huddle understands that your ankle hurts, but we're still gonna play. The huddle understands that this one's sick and this one's parents is getting a divorce and this one didn't eat lunch, but we're still going to play the game. The huddle knows that we are going to lose today, but we are still going to go to practice on Monday. That's the huddle. Those are the people that you need. And that is not everyone. So if you need me, Jalisa, to be in your huddle, I got you. There? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Those are amazing words.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad.
Okay.
I'm glad.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on into the panel discussion. That's coming up next, but
Okay.
you guys, we're gonna have a 2-minute break, so get water, do whatever you need to do. If you have questions, and put them in a chat and like that. On the panel discussion, we would like everybody to participate.
Yeah.
So please feel free. Yeah, so get your water, get a snack, whatever you need to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Can please continue to ask questions. I have no problems in answering additional questions, and I'm sure the chat will bring up some additional things, or the panel discussion as well. And Mr. Shum, do you mind if I answer some of these questions, or do you?
No, absolutely. Go ahead. I think Mr. Taylor is going to show something real quick.
Perfect.
So feel free to maybe balance between typing and speaking as you all feel.
You do the presentation, and then I'm sure we'll address these in the panel as well. Okay.
Actually, no, Sheldon, please go ahead and answer that. And then when you're done answering that, then I'll pull it up.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Is this Cooper? Oh, Cooper? Yep. Do you ever get exhausted after the hard work? Yes, my friend, I do. Exhaustion is natural. This is more of a health scenario, but pay attention to the signs that your body tells you, right? You guys know when your computers are overworked, they just tend to shut down. The same thing happens with yourself. So, but I do pace myself. I give, again, going back to these sports analogies, it's kind of like training. It's about that discipline in order to allocate time to what it is that I'm doing. But yes, the exhaustion is real. but I do believe those things that are worth having are worth working for. So yeah, for sure. The exhaustion is real. Taking breaks is necessary. Allocating your time during the day, various portions of the day, in order to get things done, I think is super, super important as well. Thank you, Cheldin. Oh, you guys are great. This is nice. Does anyone have, I think I got everything. Did I? Oh, where did you find individuals to interview? As it relates to individuals to interview, listen, we are not short of individuals who want to tell their story. That is for sure. I think that we forget the power of ask, simply just asking, would you like to talk? Would you like to connect? Would you like to share your story? Often people will. And I think that as it relates to getting practice on interviewing, start with your friends, start with those people in the huddle to be able to, let them tell their story to you, and you can begin to practice in that way. Jesse, are you raising your hand? Did you have a question? Let's see.
Yeah, sorry. Hi.
Hi.
I'm also a Division I athlete for Temple, and I just kind of wondered how you translated those skills of obviously kind of you touched on discipline and having that schedule and going through those ups and downs, but how exactly did you then translate that into your professional career as a storyteller and expressing those ideas? I'm just kind of curious on how they do. I mean, obviously they apply, but how they kind of translate over.
Absolutely. And one thing that I didn't mention after the many things that I do, I'm also an adjunct at Temple. So I teach personal branding. Jesse, I'll see you in class. You have to sign up for my class. You have to do that. I teach personal branding at Temple. And so I touch on a lot of these things. And as an athlete or as a musician, for those of you that are listening, for those of you that have other skill sets, right, that participate in other trades or other activities, so often you are focused on those activities that you're not necessarily getting internships. You're playing in this season, so you can't necessarily be working another job in that kind of way. Again, outnumbered. You have the ability to work as a team. You have the ability to lead a team. You have the ability to get up. You have the ability to run on purpose. You have the ability to follow the lead as well as be led. I mean, it's amazing. All of the leadership skills that come from those who opt into doing extracurricular activities, those that opt in to participating in sports. There's so many life lessons that come in the ability to lose. And I think that being an athlete, there is nothing more prominent than that. I think that there are a lot of individuals that have a hard time being told no, being, not working with a team and not being, able to lose gracefully. And I think that becomes a really, really difficult thing. So leaning into that, leaning into being led. I mean, those that have been athletes have always been coached. And so that's really important for a manager, director, or lead of a department to hear that you are coachable. And so that's a really, really great thing. So those of you in the choir, those of you who have vocal lessons, same thing will apply, that you are coachable and you are willing to learn. I think that a lot of young people want to come to a job stating everything that they already know. A lot of employers want to hear what you don't know and that you are willing to learn. That you're not bringing me all your bad habits, that you're willing to learn some new and exciting things. So Jesse, I hope that helps. And if you're not a senior, I hope to see you next year.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait. I'll have to sign up for the class next semester.
You have no choice, Jesse. I see you now. You can figure it out.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Of course. Good luck.